Mastering mental discipline is a foundational element in achieving personal transformation. At its core, it involves the ability to take charge of your thoughts, emotions, and responses so they serve your long-term goals rather than hinder them. It's not about suppressing emotions or forcing positive thinking. It's about developing a steady awareness of how your mind works and learning to guide it with intention. Mental discipline allows you to respond to life consciously rather than react impulsively. This ability can make the difference between a scattered, unproductive life and one filled with purpose and growth. The process begins with awareness. Many people go through their days on autopilot, letting thoughts run unchecked, reacting emotionally, and repeating the same patterns without ever questioning them. Mental discipline requires that you step out of this unconscious mode and observe your internal dialogue. It means noticing when you're being overly critical, fearful, or distracted and gently pulling yourself back to focus. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice, and like any other discipline, it grows stronger the more you engage with it. Awareness creates the space to make better choices. Without it, you're a passenger in your own mind. With it, you become the driver. Once awareness is established, the next step is deliberate control. This is where you start shaping your mental habits. If your mind constantly focuses on what could go wrong or revisits past failures, you have to learn to interrupt that cycle. One effective method is thought substitution, replacing a limiting belief or negative pattern with something empowering. For instance, if you catch yourself thinking, "I always fail at this," you replace it with, "I'm learning and improving every time I try." Over time, the brain begins to internalize these new patterns. Repetition and consistency are key here. The more you consciously direct your thoughts, the more natural it becomes. Mental discipline also includes the practice of restraint. Not every thought needs to be acted upon, and not every emotion must lead to a response. This restraint is especially powerful in situations of stress, anger, or temptation. When you're able to pause, breathe, and choose your response rather than react automatically, you demonstrate control over your mind. This doesn't mean you deny your emotions or avoid conflict. It means you give yourself the space to act in alignment with your values rather than be led by momentary impulses. That moment of pause is where self-mastery begins. Another vital component is focus. In a world filled with distractions, the ability to concentrate on what matters is a rare and valuable skill. Focus is not just about productivity. It's about directing your energy toward things that serve your transformation. When your mind is disciplined, you learn to say no to distractions, to limit the noise, and to protect your mental space. You stop giving energy to unproductive worries, petty conflicts, and mindless entertainment. Instead, you commit your attention to actions and thoughts that support your growth. This focused energy, sustained over time, leads to powerful results. Mental discipline also thrives on routines and structure. Just as physical muscles grow stronger with regular training, your mental strength grows with consistent habits. Meditation, journaling, goal setting, and reflection are all practices that help condition the mind. They bring order and intention to your day, allowing you to train your focus, self-awareness, and emotional balance. With a disciplined mind, you can weather setbacks without losing your sense of direction. Challenges no longer derail you, they become part of your growth. Ultimately, mastering mental discipline is not about control for its own sake. It's about freedom. When you learn to guide your thoughts rather than be ruled by them, you create a sense of internal stability that can't be shaken by external circumstances. You begin to trust yourself, to make choices aligned with your highest self, and to become the kind of person capable of lasting transformation. It is the unseen foundation behind every personal victory, every goal achieved, and every meaningful change. With mental discipline, transformation is not only possible, it becomes inevitable. Channeling energy effectively is about understanding where your mental, emotional, and physical efforts are going and making the conscious decision to direct them toward what truly matters. Every person wakes up each day with a finite amount of energy, and how that energy is used determines the course of their life. Often, people spend much of their energy on worry, distractions, unimportant tasks, or the opinions of others. Over time, this drains motivation and creates a sense of burnout or stagnation. Effective energy channeling begins when you take full responsibility for where your energy goes and start treating it like a valuable resource. The first step is awareness. Many people are unaware of how much energy they spend on things that don't contribute to their growth. Complaining, gossiping, overthinking, reliving the past, fearing the future, these are all mental loops that consume an extraordinary amount of energy without producing anything positive. Becoming aware of these drains is crucial. Start by noticing the patterns that leave you feeling exhausted or stuck. Are you spending too much time arguing about things that don't matter? Do you let other people's negativity affect your mood and direction? Identifying these areas gives you the opportunity to reclaim that energy and reallocate it with intention. Once you're aware of where your energy is going, the next step is learning to redirect it. This requires clarity about your values and goals. When you know what you truly want, whether it's personal growth, health, financial stability, deeper relationships, or creative achievement, you begin to filter your choices through that lens. Instead of reacting to every situation emotionally, you ask, does this support my purpose? If the answer is no, it's a sign to conserve or redirect that energy. It's not about avoiding responsibilities or becoming cold and detached. It's about consciously choosing to invest in the things that move you forward rather than scatter your strength in every direction. Emotional energy is particularly important to manage. Emotions are powerful, but if not handled well, they can take over your life. Fear, anger, jealousy, and self-doubt can consume vast amounts of energy, leaving you depleted and distracted. The key isn't to suppress these emotions, but to acknowledge them, understand their source, and then choose how to respond. This act of emotional self-regulation is one of the highest forms of energy control. It keeps you grounded and helps maintain a steady focus even when life gets difficult. It also helps you avoid unnecessary conflict and drama, which are among the biggest energy drains in daily life. Another important aspect of channeling energy effectively is learning how to say no. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you say no to something that does. People often overextend themselves out of guilt, fear of missing out, or the desire to please others. But every commitment, task, or conversation takes energy. To grow and transform, you need to protect your energy like a precious resource. That means being selective with your time, choosing the environments you spend time in, and being mindful of the people you allow into your inner circle. Not everyone deserves a place there, especially if they consistently pull you away from your goals. Focus plays a major role in energy direction. A scattered mind wastes energy. Jumping from one thing to another without purpose or structure leaves you mentally fatigued and emotionally overwhelmed. But when you train your mind to focus on one task, one goal, or one idea at a time, your energy becomes amplified. This is the principle behind deep work and flow states. When all your energy is concentrated in one direction, you enter a zone of high performance and fulfillment. You get more done with better quality, and you feel energized rather than drained. Ultimately, channeling your energy effectively means becoming a steward of your own power. You stop giving it away freely and start investing it wisely. Whether it's in your thoughts, your conversations, your work, or your emotions, you become intentional, and with that intention comes momentum. You begin to notice that your days feel more purposeful, your actions more aligned, and your outcomes more satisfying. Energy, when guided by awareness and intention, becomes a force that supports your transformation instead of holding it back. When you learn to direct it well, you unlock the capacity to reshape not just your results, but your entire way of being. Building positive habits is the quiet architecture behind every meaningful change, yet most people approach their routines haphazardly, hoping that sheer willpower will carry them through. Habits, however, are less about heroic effort and more about strategic repetition. A single beneficial action performed once does little, but when that action becomes automatic, it gradually reshapes identity, capabilities, and results. The key is to design behaviors so small and so aligned with your values that performing them feels almost inevitable. This perspective removes drama from self-improvement and replaces it with steady, compounding progress. The starting point is clarity. Vague desires like get healthier or be more productive rarely translate into action because the brain has nothing concrete to execute. Turning an aspiration into a specific, repeatable behavior, walk briskly for 10 minutes after lunch, or write 2 sentences before checking messages, gives your mind a clear cue action pair. Clarity also helps you predict obstacles in advance. If the walk happens at lunch, what happens on rainy days or during a packed schedule? Deciding in advance that you'll walk laps indoors or schedule the stroll at another time removes the friction of second decision making, which is the moment most resolutions collapse. Environment is the silent partner in habit formation. People often blame personal weakness when consistency fails, yet cues in the surroundings are constantly nudging behavior. A phone buzzing within reach pulls attention every few minutes, while a bowl of fruit in plain sight encourages better snacking choices. Adjusting the environment to make good habits obvious and convenient, and unwanted habits invisible or awkward, creates a background force that works even when motivation wavers. Laying out workout clothes the night before, keeping a water bottle on the desk, or disabling social media notifications turns the environment into an ally rather than an adversary. Identity plays an equally powerful role because humans act in ways that confirm their self-image. Instead of merely chasing outcomes, anchor a new behavior to the kind of person you want to be. A statement like "I'm the kind of person who keeps promises to myself," or "I'm someone who moves my body every day," supplies a deeper reason to persist. When temptation strikes, the question shifts from "do I feel like doing this?" to "does this align with who I am becoming?" Acting in harmony with a chosen identity provides intrinsic motivation no external reward can match. Tracking progress turns invisible momentum into visible evidence. A simple check mark on a calendar, a streak counter in an app, or a quick journal entry gives immediate feedback that the habit happened. This micro-reward reinforces the behavior and creates a narrative of consistency. Even more powerful is reflecting briefly on how the action felt or what benefit it produced. Subtle mood improvement after meditation, better focus following a screen break, incremental strength gains in a workout log. These reflections teach the brain that effort leads to desirable outcomes, making future repetitions easier. Inevitably, life will disrupt even the best designed routine, so plan for lapses rather than pretend they won't occur. The difference between people who sustain habits and those who abandon them is often the speed of recovery. A missed day doesn't break the chain if you recommit the next day. Adopting a never miss twice rule recalibrates perfectionism into resilience. Equally important is analyzing why the lapse happened without self-criticism. Was the cue poorly chosen, the environment unsupportive, the habit too ambitious given current energy? Adjustments based on real-world feedback ensure the system evolves instead of collapsing under pressure. Over time, small habits compound into transformative change because they influence each other in accelerating loops. Regular exercise improves sleep quality, which boosts focus, which makes it easier to prepare healthy meals, which in turn enhances energy for exercise. This positive spiral is the opposite of the familiar downward spiral where one neglected area drags the rest down. The magic lies in patience. Tiny improvements yield little visible return for weeks, then suddenly their cumulative effect becomes unmistakable. Trust in that compound growth keeps motivation alive during the early, quieter stages. Ultimately, building positive habits is less about wrestling with discipline and more about constructing a system that shepherds behavior effortlessly toward the person you want to become. Clarity gives the mind instructions, environment removes friction, identity supplies drive, tracking provides feedback, and resilience ensures continuity. Commit to this architecture, and each small action performed today becomes a brick in the foundation of a radically improved tomorrow. Focusing on purpose and vision is one of the most powerful shifts a person can make when aiming for self-transformation. Without a clear sense of direction, energy is easily scattered across obligations, distractions, and surface-level goals that offer little long-term satisfaction. But when you anchor your life to a deeper purpose and a compelling vision of who you want to become, everything begins to align. Choices become clearer, distractions lose their grip, and even challenges start to feel meaningful. Living with purpose isn't about having all the answers. It's about having a guiding intention that gives your daily actions weight and direction. Purpose begins with understanding what matters most to you. Not what society says should matter, not what your family or peers expect, but what truly resonates in your core. That means taking the time to reflect deeply on your values, strengths, and passions. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It can be quiet and personal, raising a strong family, creating beauty, helping others grow, mastering a skill, or living with integrity. What matters is that it feels authentic. When your actions reflect that deeper truth, you feel grounded. Without it, you drift. Vision works alongside purpose as the vivid picture of what your life could look like when you fully express that purpose. It's a mental image of your highest self, the kind of person you want to become, the impact you want to make, the way you want to feel and live. This vision isn't fixed. It evolves as you grow, but it always provides a destination. A strong vision doesn't just motivate, it disciplines. It creates a filter through which you evaluate decisions. You ask, does this bring me closer to or further from my vision? That clarity cuts through confusion and hesitation. Purpose and vision give meaning to effort. When you're clear about why you're doing something, you're far more likely to stick with it through difficulty. Tasks that might feel tedious or exhausting become infused with a sense of importance. You stop working just to finish a checklist and start working to build something that matters. Even setbacks feel different when they're connected to something larger. A failure isn't just a loss, it's part of your path. A lesson that serves your growth and moves you forward. This sense of meaningful momentum keeps you emotionally engaged, especially when progress feels slow. One of the most effective ways to stay connected to your purpose and vision is through daily reflection. Taking a few moments each morning to remind yourself of your deeper why can reframe your entire day. Instead of getting caught in minor frustrations or distractions, you operate with a broader perspective. You start choosing how to spend your time, energy, and attention more intentionally. Similarly, visualizing your long-term goals on a regular basis keeps them emotionally alive. It's not enough to write them down once and forget them. You need to keep revisiting the image of your future self until it feels familiar and real. It's also important to recognize that vision without action is just imagination. Clarity must lead to movement. That means translating big dreams into specific goals and small steps. You don't have to know every detail of how you'll get there. You just have to start. One decision aligned with your purpose leads to another, and over time the path becomes clearer. Consistency is more important than perfection. A life guided by vision doesn't mean every day is extraordinary. It means the overall direction is aligned, even if the pace varies. Distractions will always try to pull you off course, and at times doubt will creep in. That's normal, but having a strong purpose and vision gives you something to return to. When you get off track, you don't have to start over. You just realign, and over time, as you live more in alignment with your purpose, you build confidence. You begin to trust your choices, respect your time, and hold your energy as sacred. You realize that a meaningful life isn't something you find, it's something you build one focused, intentional step at a time. Living with purpose and vision turns the chaos of life into something coherent. It connects your present effort to a future that excites and inspires you. It gives weight to your decisions and grace to your setbacks. Most of all, it ensures that your energy, time, and potential are spent building a life that feels truly your own. Taking responsibility for change is the cornerstone of personal transformation. It's the moment you stop waiting for circumstances, people, or luck to shift in your favor, and instead accept full ownership of your life. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that has gone wrong. It means recognizing that your growth, happiness, and success are within your power, regardless of external conditions. It's a shift from victimhood to agency, from passive living to intentional action. True change begins not with conditions improving, but with the decision to take control of your responses, your mindset, and your direction. The most empowering realization is that no one is coming to save you. While support from others is valuable, relying on it as the main source of change keeps you stuck. Waiting for someone to validate you, rescue you, or pave the way for you delays your growth. When you take responsibility, you stop looking outward for solutions and begin looking inward. You ask better questions. What can I do with what I have? What's one small step I can take today? This shift may be uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been conditioned to believe life happens asterisk to asterisk you rather than asterisk through asterisk you. But the discomfort is worth it because it unlocks power. Responsibility also means being brutally honest with yourself. You begin to evaluate your patterns not with shame or guilt, but with curiosity and clarity. If you keep ending up in the same struggles, it's not because you're doomed. It's because there's something you're not seeing or choosing. Maybe you avoid discomfort. Maybe you give in to distraction. Maybe you seek quick fixes instead of long-term effort. Whatever the habit, taking responsibility means acknowledging it without excuse. Excuses might protect your ego in the short term, but they delay your progress. Owning your part in your struggles is the first step toward changing them. This mindset also transforms how you view failure. Instead of interpreting mistakes as proof that you're not good enough, you start seeing them as feedback. Every setback becomes information. You ask, what can I learn from this? How can I adapt? Taking responsibility means you don't waste time blaming others or circumstances. That energy gets redirected into growth. This doesn't mean ignoring the impact of injustice, trauma, or hardship. But even in the presence of those realities, you still get to decide how to respond. Your power lies in what you do next. Responsibility is also about consistency. One big decision won't change your life if it's not followed by sustained action. Many people get inspired in a moment, make a bold declaration, and then fall back into old patterns because they didn't build the discipline to follow through. Responsibility means showing up even when motivation fades. It means doing the work on the days you don't feel like it, because you've committed to a bigger vision. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being dependable, especially to yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce self-trust. That trust becomes the fuel for long-term transformation. It's important to separate responsibility from control. You can't control everything, but you can always control how you show up. Life will throw challenges your way, people will disappoint you, circumstances will change, but responsibility means responding, not reacting. It means holding on to your values, adjusting your plan when needed, and refusing to give your power away. You stop waiting for the ideal time, the perfect mood, or the green light from others. You move forward anyway because your growth is your responsibility, not anyone else's job to facilitate. Over time, this mindset creates a deep sense of freedom. You are no longer bound by old narratives, external permission, or the opinions of others. You realize that while you can't rewrite the beginning of your story, you can absolutely take charge of the ending. You become the author rather than the character reacting to someone else's script. This freedom doesn't mean the path is easy, it just means it's yours, and that ownership brings a kind of fulfillment that comfort never could. Taking responsibility for change is not a one-time act, it's a daily choice, a quiet decision to keep showing up, to keep growing, to keep becoming. It's the most powerful stance you can take, because it returns your life to your own hands. And once you fully accept that role, transformation is no longer a distant hope. It becomes an active process, one that begins exactly where you are and continues as far as you're willing to go.